Oh, hi. Today, we need to talk about a tragedy. And no, I'm not talking about my fashion sense. That's just not getting any better. I have to speak about that lovable, pudgy, once thought mythical beast. I realize it sounds like I'm about to talk about Danny DeVito. Maybe I will in a future video. We're going to talk about the dodo, this bird, now extinct. First, we're going to show the representations of the dodo in media and culture, have a quick history lesson of the bird, and then finish by exploring why it's so tragic the way we think about them. In English, we have the phrase dumb as a dodo to refer to those that we think are stupid. We also have dead as a dodo or gone the way of the dodo as fairly popular idioms, both meaning the same thing, something that is no longer done or something that has no hope of becoming popular again. For example, here are just a few of the things that have gone the way of the dodo. Oh, that last one. For me, there are a few portrayals of the dodo that come to mind. First is the character of the dodo in Alice in Wonderland. Luckily, I have my complete Lewis Carroll with me, which, if I'm being honest, should be subtitled, "You're probably only going to read Alice." In chapter 3, Alice has found herself dropped into a river with a bunch of other animals. They get to land but are sopping wet. The dodo is the one who comes up with the idea of what is called a caucus race, which is just an elaborate circle where everybody runs around and there really are no winners. It's almost as if Lewis Carroll is commenting on something. Anyway, the animals really want to know who has won, and it comes to this passage. This question the dodo could not answer without a great deal of thought, and it stood for a long time with one finger pressed upon its forehead, the position in which you usually see Shakespeare in the pictures of him, while the rest waited in silence. At last, the dodo said, "Everybody has won, and all must have prizes." The depiction in this story is not so much that the dodo is dumb, but more clueless than anything else. As for other representations, there's the appearance with Porky Pig, but that'd be against copyright to show. Oh shoot. In this cartoon, the dodo is essentially a stand-in for Bugs Bunny, a character that's smarter than the hapless protagonist and is constantly one step ahead. Do kids still watch these Warner Brother cartoons? I watched them so much as a kid, but I have no idea if anybody even knows what I'm talking about. Anyways, let's move on. Lastly, if you grew up reading The Far Side, then there's a classic panel that has a bunch of dodos playing chess and doing math equations. Over the hill, a bunch of creatures rush towards them, and the caption reads, "Unbeknownst to most ornithologists, the dodo is actually a very advanced species, living alone quite peacefully until in the 17th century it was annihilated by men, rats, and dogs." As usual. In the last two examples, part of the joke is that the dodo is being portrayed as smart, even though we are all supposed to understand that dodos are actually very stupid. So what's the reality with that? Well, here are some of the facts, and I need to admit that the majority of my research was done by reading the Wikipedia page, and even then I was only half reading it while posting things to Twitter. So just to the east of Madagascar is the island of Mauritius. According to the tourism website, Mark Twain said Mauritius was made first, and then heaven, and that heaven was copied after Mauritius. Such a quaint thought about a place that housed an avian genocide, but I mean, you do you. Even though other nations had come across the island, it wasn't until 1598, when the Dutch took control of Mauritius, that the first record of the dodo was made. Because these were sailors who had been at sea for long stretches of time, these giant birds that were easy to catch were a welcome banquet for them. A few were captured to be transported elsewhere. This is how we have a few specimens in European museums. In 1662, the last reported evidence of a live dodo was made. There may have been a few that survived past this, but the 1660s were most probably the last decade they were alive. There are theories about what actually caused the extinction. Certain archaeological evidence suggests that there was a flash flood on Mauritius, which didn't help the population. Humans certainly moved that along, as well as the introduction of invasive species. However, none of the scientific reporting shows the animals as being especially stupid. They were certainly fearless around humans, so then why are dodos so often represented as dumb? These creatures evolved without any natural predators. They share a common ancestor with pigeons, and over thousands of years no longer needed to fly and were able to travel the rocky terrain that they nested in. There's even evidence that they survived some volcanic eruptions. But, for all intents and purposes, there was peace on the island. They were at the top of the food chain. And I mean, I get it. I don't want to play dumb myself. Part of the reason we use these phrases is that the dodo essentially devolved into a slow-moving land bird. They couldn't adapt to new threats that came into their habitat, and because survival of the fittest doesn't really have empathy, they became no more. However, the dodos were willing to approach these new beings that came off giant ships. They met these creatures with curiosity and without anger, and were rewarded by being slaughtered en masse. Man's gluttony wouldn't stop until every last bird was dead, with no chance of resurrection. And we, as a society, have taken that reality and portrayed the dodo as a dumb, witless species who tumbled off the cliff of existence because they weren't smart enough to survive. But instead, I suggest we look at this more as a tragic story of a species approaching us with the expectation of benevolence, but was instead met with malice. But I'm interested in knowing what you think. Are you sad about the dodo? Were they just bigger pigeons? Should their reputation be rehabilitated? Or are you just curious what roast dodo would taste like? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Kyle. I upload videos every Monday and Thursday. If you'd like to make these videos even better, consider becoming a supporter of mine over on Patreon. You can help me out for as little as $1 a month. Oh gosh, this is the worst. Now I really want to know what roast dodo tastes like. Maybe I should go and catch a pigeon.